Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Ruby from Max and Ruby. She goes with the little Max figure I did last time. You can find him on my channel. For this project, you're going to need 2 pink bands and some black bands, white bands, purple, yellow. For the eyes, I've used 2 small pony beads and I've drawn on the pupils with Sharpies. You could also use bands to make the eyes. For the whiskers, I've used some thin sewing thread, black thread, and just cut a little piece for that. That's another part that you can do with bands if you choose. And on the dress, I've used dental floss to thread small beads. They're seed beads or slightly larger onto bands. So that's another option for you. You don't have to include those, and if you want to wrap a band and place it on instead of a bead, you can do that. Otherwise, you're going to want your loom in the standard offset configuration and a hook to work on. We are about ready to get started. I'll just make a quick note for you that I have already done one of each of the main parts that we need. So periodically I'll ask you to pause and make a second ear or a second paw on your own. So we can start with the first ear. It's going to be exactly the same as the one that I made when I was doing Max. So we are going to count up 4 pegs from the bottom of the loom in the center and lay a doubled over black band down from there to the next peg. So stretch, twist, bring it back onto itself, and that goes from that 4th peg from the bottom to the peg below. And then I'm going to double over a single pink and place that onto the next 2 pegs coming down. There's only one more peg towards the bottom here, and on that we'll lay a doubled over single white, stretch it down. So those 3 are made the same way, and it's black, pink, and white. On either side, I'm going to take 3 doubled over single whites and lay them down peg to peg, starting at the 4th peg from the 5th peg from the bottom. So it'll begin diagonally just above that center black. We're coming down 3 times. So nothing goes on the bottom peg on the side, and I'm going to repeat that on the side closest to me here. So count up to the 5th peg from the bottom. We are laying down doubled over singles 3 times, coming down. 1, 2, 3. Take a single band, white, double it over. We're stretching it down diagonally from the 2nd peg up from the bottom on the side to the bottommost peg in the center. It's going to close it off. And once more on the other side, like so. For your cap band, you're going to take a single band, put it on the bottommost center peg, twist, replace, twist, replace, 3, 4. I'm going to do it 5 times. You can stop where you're comfortable. If your band is quite a bit stretched out, you might not want to twist it, or you might want to twist it a little bit extra. If your bands are a little more fragile, you might only do 3 twists, but that's going to be for the tip of the ear. We want it to be nice and snug there. Take a single white, double it over, and we're going to lay it across the 2nd peg up in the middle and the third peg up on either side. It's going to make an upside down triangle here. It'll point towards the bottom of your loom, and repeat that over the 3 pegs above. And now we are ready to loop this up. So I'm going to go to the bottom center peg, point the open part of my hook away from me, push back the holding band, that's the one that I wrapped. I'm going to scoop up the next 2 loops, which is from a doubled over single, and I'm bringing them back to the peg they came from, making a nice clean teardrop shape. Nothing is crisscrossing or coming loose there. Go back through the holding band and get your next 2. In my case, they're coming to the left side. And there should be 2 more loops on the bottom there. So you want to reach inside your holding band and loop those forward onto the peg above in the middle. And now we can loop up the middle. Push back your holding band and grab your pink. Push back your holding band and grab your black and loop that up. And on either side, watch out for your holding band. You only want to get the bottom 2 loops and bring them forward to the peg above. And I want to make sure I'm getting the right ones here. Starting to twist a bit. It's easiest to see from the side, I find. I know I'm working with white on a white background here. I'm hoping you're able to see this well enough. Once you have your ear looped up, you can take your hook and press it down through the ones on the far side. Remove that from the loom. So I'll have 4 loops on my hook here. Get the 4 black loops and get your last 4 on the peg closest right at the top, and carefully remove from the loom. You can use your fingers or another if you need to. And that is 1 ear. You're going to take 2 white bands and slide them carefully through all of the loops on your hook. So you want to keep a bit of tension there so it doesn't slip. You can slide these over 1 or 2 at a time if that's easier, or you can try and grab them all at once. You'll know you have them all when it slides easily through, and you should have 2 loops remaining on your hook. I've just missed one here. I'm trying to get it over. There. So now it's sliding nicely, and I'm going to take these 2 bands that the ear is on and lay them across the top center and the top side peg on the loom. At this point, I'm going to ask you to pause and make a second ear. So you can go back and follow the steps again. Or if you just need to rewind for a second, you can pause it on the finished layout and copy what you see there. All of the bands were doubled over singles right until you placed it on these 2 bands. I have my other ear at the ready, and I'm going to place that onto the other side, and then we can start forming the face. One quick note about the face is that, and I'll just show you to compare, the main differences between Max and Ruby in the cartoon and in the books is that Ruby is just a tiny bit taller than Max, and her face curves a little more roundly at the front, whereas Max's cheeks puff out a bit. So if you would like them to have the exact same facial shape, you can go and follow the steps I laid out in the Max tutorial. Or if you decide that you'd like Max to look more like Ruby, when you're doing that one, you can refer to Ruby's facial shape. but I have done it a little bit differently this time, and I'll tell you what that looks like. But let's head over to the loom and we'll start laying out the bands. So both Max and Ruby start out with the same foundation. We're going to take 2 white bands, place them from the top center to the second peg down in the center, and repeat that 3 more times. So you'll have this with 4 sets of doubles coming down in the middle. So this is how I started Max and Ruby. Nothing needs to be changed here. On either side, I'm going to come down with 3 sets of double white bands, starting at the top, working my way downwards. And we'll do the same on the opposite side. Take 2 bands from the side the fourth peg down on the side to the 5th peg down in the center. I'm going to make a little triangular closing there. Repeat on the opposite side. You can push those bands down just a little if you'd like. I'm going to take a single and double it over, lay that across the second pegs down. I'm going to do that again across the 4th pegs down. So if you stretch this across your 4th pegs, you'll get another triangle there. And in the middle, we're going to do a doubled over band with the eyes placed on. If you are using bands, you can choose the color that you like. Max and Ruby's eyes are always done in black. But you'll take a single, wrap it 1, 2, and 3 times. Repeat that and pull them onto a doubled over white. For beads, we are going to put them onto our hook and thread them onto a doubled over white single. I'm placing this across the 3rd peg, from the 3rd peg on the right to the 3rd peg on the left. My hook goes between the beads, and I'm going to separate that and place it over the 3rd peg down in the center. And I'm drawing the pupils on at the end so I can, I want to say center them, but place them nicely, evenly once we're through. Really quickly, if you would like to use a smaller bead for the eyes and you're having trouble putting them on, you can use a piece of thin wire, a needle and thread, or dental floss. I'll show you this now quickly, and we'll use this technique again for the buttons. Put your floss through, put it on a doubled over single, and then your floss comes back through, which is sometimes a little bit of work to do, but then you should be able to slide it on. And you would do that with 2 beads. So that is a 3rd approach for the eyes. We have the nose to do, and then we'll do the side chain, and then we can move on to the body. So that's your face so far. Pause it if you need to. And then for our nose, we have 2 black bands. Trying to see what I wrote here. Okay, 1 black band, 2 black bands. And we're going to wrap them 1, 2, 3 times. And we're going to put that onto 3 white bands. Trying to find some that have the right amount of stretch here. 1, 2, 3 white bands, 2 black bands wrapped 3 times. I'm going to slide the black wrapped bands onto those 3 whites. Make sure they all go over, and it should have a nice smooth glide. Once they're on, you can put the other side of the white bands onto your hook like so, and then this will go onto 2 white bands. You're going to have a nice puffy nose here, and the white bands will go across the 3rd peg. Oh, since it doesn't look right here. Hold on. These are going to go on the 3rd peg down, so the eyes should actually be higher up. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, forgive me. We're going to do a little, just a little movement here. The triangle band across the 2 from the top, we're going to bring it up so that it sits over the, that's what happened before, over the top pegs down, and the 2nd peg down in the center. So I'm going to flip that triangle around like so. And then we're going to move the eyes up by 1. I apologize, I don't know why I did that. Our eyes are going to be sitting on the 2nd pegs down, and then our nose can go on the ones below. Rat. Okay, hold on. I'm going to put the nose on, and then I'll get the eyes back, and then I will show it all to you and review where everything ought to be. Just give me 1 more second here. Okay, so a couple things needed to be moved there, but little moves. We didn't have anything locked in, so not a big deal. Okay, here we are. So, triangular holding band pointing down. It's going over the top pegs on the side and the 2nd peg down in the middle. On the next one, we'll have the eyes. So the eyes will go on the 2nd peg down on either side. I started you off a little low there. Separate and pull the band under the 3rd peg down in the middle. And then your nose will just go across the 3rd pegs down, and the other holding band can stay exactly where it is. That's good. Okay, so now we are going to make the chain for the face, and this is the part where you have a bit of a choice. So for Max, I took, well, actually they both start out the same. Take a single white, wrap it twice, and we're going to put that onto 2 white bands, and another 2 white bands. Now at this point, if you want to have the kind of shape of Max's face, you would attach the bottom loop to the 4th peg down on the side, and the loops that are on your hook would go onto the 3rd peg down. So it would stretch from here to here, and you would do the same on either side. For Ruby's, I've extended it by adding on 1 more white band, and I'm going to attach it 1 peg higher. So for Max and for Ruby, the loop will go on the 4th peg down. If you're making a shape like Max's, you can take out one of these chains and just have 2 sets of doubles, attach it here. For Ruby, which is what I'm going to do, I have 3 sets of doubles, so 2 in each set. It's a chain of 3, and it's gonna go to the 2nd peg from the top. Make sure we get on all of the bands that are on the hook, like so. And I'm going to grab 1 band out of the next little link down and pull that over the 3rd peg down, and that's just going to keep it nice and snug, and that gives us more of a rounding to the face. Let's do the same for the other side. A single wrapped twice. I'm going to put it on 2 bands and onto another 2 bands. For Max's shape, you stop here and attach it to these two pegs. For Ruby, we'll add on one more set of double bands, which means pair two together. Replace. This goes from the second peg down to the fourth peg down. I'm going to use my hook to get into that loop. Grab one piece from that upper part of the chain and bring it over the third peg down. Okay, so our face is complete. Hooray! We can start on the body. We are switching over to purple. We'll take two purple bands, come from the fifth peg down where we ended with the white to the next peg below. Two purple bands out from that same peg but to the side, and two of them starting on the same peg and going down in the opposite direction. I'm going to get the arms on next. So I have one made, and I'll make the other one with you. We start with, where did I make a note here? 3 white bands. Put it on your hook and wrap it once and twice. Put it onto 2 white bands. Slide all those loops over. Replace. Put it onto 2 purple bands. And I have used 5 bands. 5 bands for the next part, so that she has a bit of a thicker, puffier padding on the shoulders. That is totally optional. If you don't want it that thick, or you're trying to save bands, or 5 feels overwhelming, you are welcome to use 2. As I said, I'm going to use 5 to make the top of the sleeve a little bit thicker. So I'm putting 5 bands on my hook, and I'm going to slide the rest of the sleeve on and replace. And all of these loops that are on the hook will get transferred onto the 5th peg down on the side. It goes on top of the purple that you've just laid, like so. The other sleeve can be made and go on the same way. Feel free to pause here so you can make the second one. Okay, that is what we need for our purple. Before we start laying out the yellow, let me show you how you can make some little decorations to go on. I'm using red here just because I don't have any more orange of this size, and I thought I'd try something a little different from what I did in the model. But what you can do if you'd like to add on some of the button pieces is, find a green here. I like to use dental floss because it's slick, it's malleable, it's very thin. So as I showed you with the eyes, I'm going to put my floss through a little bead. If you want to wrap a band and slide that onto your yellow, you can do that instead. And if your bead has a very large hole, you can probably put it on your hook and then transfer it there. So this went through the bead, through the band. It's just a single, I haven't doubled it over. And I'll come over and around and back through that bead. And slide until it's sitting on the band, like so. So I made 6 and I used 2 different colors. You can have more, you can have fewer, you can use larger beads, totally up to you. Alright, for the layout on the dress, we are going to put 2 yellow bands on each of the rows. We're starting wherever we left off. So on either side, I'll be beginning where the arms are sitting. You might have to push that down a little bit more. If you feel like you want to get the yellow around behind the arm, you can. You don't really have to. It doesn't matter so much. On the next middle set, I'm putting the 2 yellows. But for the next side ones, I'm going to put 1 band down on each side. And for the second band, I'm going to use one of the ones with the beads. I'm using green on these. If you want to start with orange, you can. So there's a single band and then the band with the green. And then on each row, I'm going to put just double bands or just 2 bands together. Having a little trouble seeing my pattern here. Okay, so the second one, the next center one will have 1 single yellow band and then a yellow band with a green bead on it. And on either side, I'm going to put just 2 yellow bands. So right now the beads are placed here, here, so across, and down here. If you choose, you can have them on every single set, or like form them in a V, but do as you like. The next 2 in the middle are just going to be plain 2 bands. And then on the sides, I'm going to do a single yellow and a band with the red on it. Now Ruby's dress does have orange. I'm just using red here, as I said. So that's what I have on hand right now, and I think it will be okay. Two more yellow together in the center. And the next ones in the middle will be a single followed by another one with a bead. And on either side we'll put double yellows, so 2 yellows together, and you can continue to the bottom of the loom on each of your rows. If you want to put another one with the bead on, you can, as I say, up to you. If I'm going a little bit slowly here, it's because I want to really make sure to get you everything you need, not miss any important parts or pieces of information. Okay, we can make the feet next. I've got one at the ready. These are made exactly as Max's feet were made, and it calls for okay, this one does take a little bit. We're going to take a single band, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4, put it onto a doubled over single. We're going to make the little toes. So stretch, twist, bring it back over itself. Slide your wrapped single on and replace. We'll do that 3 times to make 3 toes. So that was 1. This is 2. It's a single white, wrapped 1, 2, 3, 4 times, pulled onto a doubled over single, replace, and last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, pull it onto a doubled over single, and replace. And this will go on to 3 bands. Should be 2 bands. Hold on. Oh, we do that 3 times and then it goes on to 2 bands. That's right. Okay, take 2 bands and slide all of those pieces on very carefully. You can take a couple of sections at a time, couple loops at a time if you need, and replace. Even that out a little bit. You can pause and make your second foot. So a single wrapped 4 times, pulled onto a doubled over single, make 3 of those, and then put the 3 onto 2 bands. We will add, put this onto 2 yellow bands. So slide both of your feet over. Go to the bottom of your loom and you can stretch it across to either side on the bottommost peg. And then get your hook between the 2 feet and pop those bands over the center bottommost peg. Alright, let's put on some holding bands. So I just used singles. You can put 2 down in each spot if you want it to be a little bit sturdier, and if you want it to be a little bit thicker. I'm just going to use the 1, and I'm going to form triangles on each of the sets. So these are the second pegs up from the bottom, the third pegs up from the bottom, and we'll continue going up until we reach the arms. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of them. Our side chains are going to give the width and the curve to the dress. So for that we take a single yellow, wrap it on the hook 2 times, and we're going to pull it onto 9 sets of double bands. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to take the loops that are on the hook and lay them down on top of the peg with the arms. That's the 5th one down. I'll turn this way. So I'll take this chain I've made, I'm going to stretch it down, and as I stretch it, I'm going to see each of the sets of links showing up. So here's one set, here's the next set, and from each one I want to take 1 band and put it over the peg that's next in line coming down. So here, this is another little section. If you've been doing this for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, it might take a bit of feeling out, but you'll get to recognize where your chain is broken into links. Each one will have 4 loops in it. I think that's right, maybe 8 loops. I guess 8 loops. But don't worry about that. Like I say, you just look and you should see you should be able to make an opening in the midst of that, and from there you're taking just one of the bands and pulling it over, and when you get to the bottom you should have a couple of pieces sort of hanging left over, which I don't seem to. So have I done something wrong? Oh, maybe this is how I did it. Oh, it looks right. Okay, I'm going to put just a loop from that bottom one over there. No, this is how I remember it. I think we're good. If you want to make this longer, you certainly can. I'm not curious. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know what? I think I did have an extra one in there, an extra 2. I'm not sure. We're gonna go with this though. It looks about the same, but I was using a thicker kind of band, so it's a little hard to tell. Take a single, wrap it twice, put it onto 9 sets of double bands. Eight, 9. You know what? I am going to do an extra 2. And I'm gonna adjust that on the other side, and you can choose if that's something you'd like to do. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'm feeling like there should be 11. But it will be okay with 9. You just might not have as much of a curve. So feel free to experiment with this. If you've got your 9 and you're happy with it, stick with it. If you don't mind doing just an extra attachment here, you also feel free to add on those 2 more sets on the other side, or on both the sides. I think I would like to have 11. So let me really quickly put this on. I'm attaching it as I did the other side. Yeah, no, this is way too much left over. So I guess we did have it right. Apologies. This is not working out so well today. But all is not in vain. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, it should be 9, I guess. Okay, see, I'm looking at it and I'm wondering, because I used, I'll actually show you in a minute here. The first time I did this, I used the brighter ones that look like this. And they're just a little bit thicker, if you can see. So it's actually hard to see. They are a little bit thicker. So I think when I'm looking at my first one, this one looks just a little bit wonky because the bands are tiny bit different. It's making me wonder if something is wrong, but I don't think it was. Okay, so we've got our chain of 9 links, and we should be ready to continue to go from here. Yeah, we are all good to loop up, and the only thing remaining is the tail. If you want to make it, you know what, let's make the tail now, and I'll give you 2 ways to attach it. So the tail was 4 white bands wrapped once and twice onto 1 doubled over band. Pull one side, the further side, over the end of the hook. And if you choose, you can attach it right now by putting it onto the band between the 4th and the 3rd peg up from the bottom. So you would take one of those off, or both of those off, and slide it on top. The other way would be, which I think I'll do it this way. The other way would be to, no, actually, I think I will attach it after, but I'll show you what to do. So you can go through the yellow and slide it over. Maybe we will do it that way. Just a little concerned if I end up, if my bunny ends up facing the wrong way, but I think we'll be okay. We can always twist it around. The other option is to attach it when everything's finished, and I think that's what I would prefer to do myself. But there's that option if you want to have it attached as you go, and then you don't have to do that extra step. At any rate, we are going to loop up. I'm going to start looping up in the middle, and I'll stop when I get to the purple. So you can grab the loops that are sitting there between the legs. You don't have to reach under anything for that. And loop up normally 2 bands each time. There should not be anything in your way here. You don't have to do anything different or special for the bands with the beads. On either side, we do have a number of bands on account of that extension. So just remember, you are always and only going to be looking for the bottom 2 loops. And we'll do that until you get to the purple. So point the open part of the hook away from you. Press back the bands that have the legs in your holding band. Scoop up your bottom 2 and bring it forward and onto the peg above. And we're going to repeat that. So grab only your bottom 2. You can always turn it to the side to press them out to better see. So sometimes I'll even take my hook and you can hold them there, and that way you'll know that you're getting the right ones. But do what's comfortable, do what's working for you. Just make sure that every time you're getting 2 and only 2, and it's only the bottom 2 coming through. Okay, let's do this again on the other side. There, see there, I only got 1. These ones are twisting a little bit. Now I have the 2, and continue up. As you are securing the pieces, if you're feeling like there's a lot of tension on the loom, you can start to release some of the ones that are looped in. Just make sure you remember your place so that you don't miss one when you continue. And if you do see anything that's coming loose, this is a good time to grab it and pop it back in. Take your time as you need to. You can always pause this video. Oh, that one's coming off. There. Alright, for the arms, you want to find the 2 purple loops that are coming from the center. And those are the ones you're going to loop up through the bands that have the arm pieces on. So press down through all of the other pieces, collect that, and bring it around and back up to center. Repeat that on the other side. It might take a little fiddling, it might take a little wiggling. Next part, very important, do not forget to come back in the middle and loop up that last purple set there. Now we're going to go in for the whites around the chin. Once more, if you want or need to release some of the tension on the lower, you can do that at this point. Okay, so looking at mine, I do believe that the bands from the right, my right, are going to be above the ones on the left and the ones in the center. So those are the ones I want to get to. I'm going to push back the purple and wiggle around until I can find and get the 2 whites. I know this is one of the harder parts. I'm bringing them to the side. Now I'll be looking for these bands from the left. So push back the purple. Each set you get should make the next one easier. I've got 1 and I've got 2. You can always turn this to a different angle to look. You can always reach in from on top and or the side and pull the bands down to where you can see them or access them or isolate them a little bit better. And we're going for the 2 center. Gonna loop up once. Let's loop up on the sides. Bottom 2 white bands only. I'll hold it out again so you can sort of see a little better. Push back all of the attached pieces, grab those bottom 2, bring them up and over and onto the next peg. Reach through the piece holding the nose and the side extension and come on up. Push back the bands with the band with the eyes. Get your bottom 2 and come on up. You want to do the same on the other side, bottom 2 bands only. Feel free to pause or go back if you need a little more time at this section, at this little part. It can be a bit tricky. I'm going to go to the top side peg, get the bottom 2 and bring those to the center, top center. Same on the other side, there shouldn't be anything in your way there. Now for the middle, I don't want to loop over the nose, so I'm going to move the nose up and to the side, like up and out of the way. I've popped it over that 3rd peg down, just temporarily. I'm going to loop up once, bring the nose back over, press back the band that's holding the eyes and get the bottom 2 loops only. Press back the holding band and get the bottom 2, bring them to the top. We are done. We just have to remove this from the loom and a couple finishing touches. Get a single white band. You can take 2 if you'd like to make it more secure. You'll take your hook, point the open part away from you, and press down in a pretty straight way through all of the bands on that top center hook. And then I'm going to turn it so that my hook is, the open part is facing up and it can catch onto my band. I'll keep a bit of tension on it and turn it around again and carefully slide it up. It's okay if it takes a couple of tries, and it's okay if you have another method that works for you. Put the other side on. Take the loop that's further from the top of the hook and pull it over all the way off of the hook. That makes a holding knot. And for this remaining loop, you can put it on a C-clip right now, on a hook, or hold it on your finger. We're going to take all of Ruby off of the loom. You want to start at the top and move downwards. Try to resist the urge to pull it off of the hook, or off of the loom right away. As you release it, it should get easier to take the other pieces off, and this will be gentler on the loom, gentler on your bands, even if it's more trying on your patience. Once more, keep an eye as you're going that nothing is coming loose. If you have a small loose piece, you might be able to catch it and cinch it in with the C-clip and a bit of weaving without having to redo a whole lot of work. Okay, so here is Ruby so far. I'm gonna, I'm gonna turn it to the back, and the back is gonna be the side that doesn't have the nose protruding. I'll put my hook under a couple of bands, grab that loose loop and pull it through, and then that can go onto a C-clip. I'll just hook that under another band. Okay, again, to look for the eyes, grab that Sharpie. You can decide what your eyes look like. I'm going to make some little circles. Try not to get it on the bands too much, as they are white. It will will show, but you can make them more or less pronounced. I think I'll leave those there for now. For the whiskers, if you're using a black band, I mean, you have a couple of choices, but I would almost say just get it ready in your fingers. Slide your hook under the white, pull it through, and you can cut it there. On either end, you could also go through the back and secure it through the back, or have, you could have, hold on, here's from the back to the front. I'm going to grab the end, I'm pulling it back. You could put it on a C-clip on the back and then cut it off, or tie a knot in the back and have a longer piece of band that goes through. It might look something, this is a white one, but it might look something like this, where you have it knotted in the middle and the ends coming out. So if you're doing the bands, you can play around with that. If you're using thread, you can tie it on in a variety of ways or slide it through the back, or you can just grab your thread and pull it through. This is a really short one, that's just what came out there. And then you can cut it as you, sorry, I just pulled that, hold on, I'll show you again. So I put my hook through the nose piece, the white part, grabbed the thread, and I pulled it through, and then you can cut it where you want it to be. And you might, again, might tie it around something, or you might tie it at the back and then pull it out through the sides. And the last two things are the buttons. So just press your buttons, look for them, pop them through. Some kinds and sizes will be easier to see and easier to move. You might find yourself sliding it up on the band that it's on. Like you might take your nails and tug it upwards a little bit to move it more to the front. You might use your hook to pull them through a little bit. Again, whatever is working for you is great. The larger the holes on the beads, the more you'll be able to move them around. And for the tail, if you didn't secure it well in action, what we can do is go to the back, put your hook through a couple of bands, slide your band through, and then pop that right over the tail, and that should secure it. You can always add on a C-clip if you have any concerns there. Okay, so this one doesn't have whiskers, but it's otherwise the same ruby you see here. You can tell the difference. You can definitely tell the difference. This one I drew the pupils on a little bit larger. So if I was to color more black on here, you'd have those more pronounced eyes, which is probably closer to what we're looking for the character. So once more, this is Max and this is Ruby, and I hope you'll check out Max. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your day.